Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining. I'm MK Williams. I'm an author and independent publisher, and here with me today is Jason, my biggest fan, president of the fan club, business consigliere, CFO of MK Williams Publishing LLC, baby daddy, and hunky hubby. Welcome.
I am so glad to be here with you guys again today.
Yeah, and for really good reason. The channel reached 10,000 subscribers as of recording this last week. It'll probably be 2 weeks ago by the time you see this, but it's really exciting. And when we hit this milestone, I turned to Jason and I said, we did it, because really, he puts in a lot of work too, and really, it's a collective we. I can't hit 10,000 subscribers without the subscribers. So I want to thank you all. And so just like we did when we hit the 5,000 subscriber milestone, we're going to be answering some questions you guys posted. And everybody who asked questions was entered to win some big prizes. So I'm just going to dive right in, cut to the chase, and let you know what the prizes are. We'll be announcing the winners throughout the video. So how we're going to do this is there's going to be 10 winners. It's first come, first serve with the prizes. So some of these prizes you might think, oh my gosh, everybody would want that prize. But what I've come to know with authors is that what you think one person wants, like, oh no, I don't need that right now. I need this. So hopefully the winners, you'll find a prize that you want in there. First person to respond and claim that prize gets it. And then the other ones are available. So we'll just kind of do it that way. You have to let me know that you want a prize though by the end of this month, April 2023. So that's my cutoff. So that way we can say, hey, for the next person then who didn't win, I can let them know and still go out the prizes. So make sure you message me. I'll have the information below so you can do that, okay? And I just want to give a really big shout out to everybody. Like I said, we're going to have 10 winners of everybody who asked questions. Everybody wins something this month. So for the entire month of April 2023, everybody gets 10% off of everything on my PayHip store using the code 10K sub. So head on over if you've been thinking about getting one of my books, a signed copy of my books, a book plate for my book. Everything that's on that website, you can give her 10% off this month. So, and yes, I've said it a few times now because SD Houston, who's one of my channel members, brought it up earlier when I think we hit 8,000 subscribers. But she said, when you hit 10,000 or 100,000 subscribers, are you going to do a 100% giveaway? And I was like, yeah. So subscribe.
Ebooks only?
For everything.
For everything, okay.
Okay, maybe just ebooks only. We'll have to figure that out so that way I don't,
We'll crunch some numbers from
We'll
the
crunch
CFO
some numbers.
perspective
Yeah,
over here.
my CFO might veto that, but absolutely everything digital, ebooks and audiobook, and we'll figure out the rest. But, okay, now what are these awesome prizes that people can win? We've been hyping. So the first big prize I'm super excited about, and this also speaks to a sponsor for today's video, which is Formatted Books. So Formatted Books is giving away a professionally designed ebook cover for your book. That's right. A professional is going to design a beautiful ebook cover for you. I've used them for several of my books. They do amazing work. So one lucky person is going to win an ebook cover today. That's amazing. Like when I was starting out, I would have loved that. So I'm super envious. I wish I could win it. They do great work. The other prizes are going to be 2 30-minute consults with me. So 2 different winners. So each winner will get a 30-minute consult with me to kind of go over that. Usually I do 1-hour consults. They're very limited time. So for 2 lucky people, we're going to be able to do a quick 30-minute Q&A, hopefully help you out with where you are in your author journey. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys. So the next set of prizes are books, because we're authors and we like to read, obviously. So any of the books from my collection are going to be available. I'll pop them up right here. So that can be any of the books in my Author Your Ambition series, any of my fiction books, whether it's science fiction, contemporary fiction, anything you can get for free. And because obviously I've done giveaways before on my stuff, you guys know what my stuff is by now. Like if you really wanted to win one of my books or buy one of my books, you might have done that. I'm also giving away copies of the books that my channel members have published. So I love the community we've built. Every month we get to do a live Q&A call and chat with each other. So I'm super, super excited to be able to share their books with you guys. Like I literally went and bought a copy of each of their books so we could give away. So
they look fantastic too.
They do. Like the first one looks so good. And this isn't order of importance or alphabetical order. This is literally the random order they were in the box when I took them out from Amazon, and then when another one came in. So, okay. First one is The Luminous Ones by Nicholas Ashbaugh. Awesome. Feed the Monster by Ron Ward Jr. Look at these covers. These are amazing. Intrusion Protocol by B.R. Keed. This one just came out, hot off the presses. Blood of the Lily by S.D. Houston, and The Illustrated Guide to Homes for Real Estate Agents by Jennifer Tuberfield. So this is really cool. And I know a lot of you who follow me from the FI community are into real estate. This is beautiful. This is magnificent. This should just go in your Airbnb. This should go into your real estate office. They're all amazing. I would love to give all of them more of a spotlight, but I know you're all eager to get to the prizes. So I'm going to have links below. So if you are a winner, you can easily find them and pick which book that you want to win. Okay, we're going to dive right in and get to the questions. Let's go.
But first off, can you see all these sticky notes that are behind there? Those are maybe some of the secret projects that are going on.
Yeah.
I don't know how secret they are. Some of them might be secret, or some of the names of the books could be back there. So if anyone can zoom in and get clarity, you can see some of MK's secret projects that are going on.
I think I'm just going to have to edit around it now and like just blur the background or something. I'll figure out a way to do it. I'll just put a big smiley face behind me. And you guys like, what? Smiley face. Okay.
It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to pull up these questions and get us going. Are we ready to get started?
Let's do it. Let's get it going.
All right, Amanda is going to kick us off.
Okay.
My question is, did you dream of being a great creator?
Well, thanks for thinking I'm a great creator. So I'm going to answer this from two ways. So people who make YouTube videos are called creators. And then there's like, I'm a creator and I create stories. So I think I always had an ambition to write books, to write stories, to create stories with the written word. So yes, I did always have that dream. As far as being a YouTube creator, that was not always part of the dream. I've told you guys many times before on the channel, I am a words creative, not a visual creative. And as some of you know from my early videos, I'm definitely not an AV creative. I still get nasty gram comments about the old audio on old videos. So I never want to just put half into something, like give half effort to something. So when I started the YouTube channel, I did the best I could with what I knew. And I've definitely expanded and grown. And I feel like I am constantly balancing making like the best possible video, like really cool, really tricked out versus like, I need to have time to write my book. So I do want to be a great creator. And the way I define that is that I'm giving quality content to you guys. I'm showing up. I'm helping you avoid some of the pitfalls that I see authors fall into, that I almost fell into, that I have fallen into and I have to call my way back out of. So that's how I define being a great creator, is I'm providing great value. And maybe I don't have the snazziest videos, as you can see from this setup. This setup is an improvement though over our others because we're in chairs and we're comfortable. Oh, and we have chocolate.
We do Irish chocolate because everyone knows Ireland has the best chocolate.
No, take
It does for today.
Boom. Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers at 10,000 subscribers.
Cheers. Thanks for the question, Amanda.
All right, let's move on to Tia. Congratulations on 10K. My question is, how tough was the journey of the beginning of self-publishing? I'll go ahead and start with there. There's some follow-ups on that one too. So how tough was the journey of the beginning of self-publishing?
It was difficult.
Where to start?
It was interesting because I had so much free time then, and I really used it. I really maximized it. I think once I decided I was going to self-publish Nail Biters, I was all in. I was confused about things, but if there was a time where I wasn't inspired to revise or edit, editors had the book, and I was like, okay, I need to be doing something to move this book forward, progress, because like, it's going to come back to me and I'm going to not know what to do. So I was doing a lot of research. I did find it difficult at the time. This was back in 2015. So like online communities for self-publishing existed. They were out there. They were on Facebook. There were podcasts. I certainly didn't find them. Like I just didn't think to look there. And so I did feel very isolated, and that was difficult because there wasn't anybody I could ask. There wasn't a model I could follow. And oh my goodness, if I had found some of these resources earlier, like I would not have made all the mistakes that I made. So yes, the beginning was difficult, but it was exciting. It was exhilarating. And I actually think it was easier back then because it was one book and I had all this other free time. Whereas now I'm just like, another book. I have to update the whole backlog. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was one thing that kept you going? And what would be your words to someone who's starting out with self-publishing?
I think what kept me going was that dream moment of holding the book, of hearing from somebody what they thought about the book. And of course, like the going viral dream, right? Of like the book takes off.
Hit the viral button.
Yeah.
Hit the viral button.
Which he tells me on all my videos. He's like, Why don't you just hit the viral button?
Boop.
Yeah.
Put it right up here.
Yeah. I wish. And having like that dream of like the overnight success, which like is impossible. And I almost wish I didn't have that dream, but like we all have that, right? And I think that vision kept me going. And of course, then I was very deflated when that didn't happen. So I would say my advice is to define what success looks like for you. To be really clear on that vision, and to make sure you have points to celebrate. That's something I go back to. It's in my workbook even of like, what's your celebration planning for like when draft 1 is done? What's your celebration planning for when the book is like edited, revised, ready to go to formatting? What's your celebration planning for when you've uploaded everything? Because all of these moments are important, but there's always one more thing to do. And so you never really take the time to celebrate. Like I remember even like the day that Nail Biters launched, excited, but like he came home with like 2 pints of Ben and Jerry's, which is amazing, and to like celebrate. And I was like, just like rapid fire checking my sales on KDP. Like I would not let myself rest. So I would say give yourself a chance to rest.
And it's a pretty kind of lonely journey, or can be a lonely journey. So if you can bring someone else along with you, and then you can celebrate with somebody else. But then also that holds you accountable. If you go and you even go to the public at large or to your social media channel, say, I'm writing a book, guys, and I'm going to give you updates as I go, as I have major plot points, as a cover gets revealed. Having these different checkpoints with the outside world, that's going to keep that accountability too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, it makes the journey less lonely. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for your question.
Okay. Next, let's move to Kimberly. Talking about like how excited she is, remembering when you reached 5K, now we're reaching
Kimberly.
10K, and it wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't.
So my question is related to your thoughts on websites. Okay, so do you think if you write in different pen names, should you just have one website with separate pages, so you send readers from different genres to the one single website? So you have one website with multiple different pages you could go to, or should you just have completely separate websites for the different pen names?
This is a great question. I would say that it depends. So right now I have one website, and I'm going to give you my experience, and I'm going to give you advice that might apply to your situation. So I have my website, onemkwilliams.com. All of my books are there across every genre. Like that is my home on the internet. It's where I have all my press releases, like any press that I do, like it's all there. Like that's where I live. And then I do have Author Your Ambition that is just for the Author Your Ambition brand. It's just for all my self-publishing books. So I own both domains. And I did that purposely. So that way one day, like should I, MK Williams, not be able to work in my business anymore, which like, not just like, oh, like I'm busy, but like, oh, like I'm retired or I have passed on. Like I hope that Author Your Ambition lasts beyond that. And I wanted it to not just be only affiliated with my name. But I do have just one home on the internet for my books. When I started, my website was just nailbitersnovel.com because that was the only book I had. And I really wasn't forward thinking. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to buy a URL for every single book. That gets so expensive, especially every single year to maintain. And then you're constantly sending people elsewhere. So I think there's a few authors with a few specific books who have done that well. Like I think James Clear with Atomic Habits. Like he has one home on the internet just for Atomic Habits, and you just go there. But like that's an outlier where he's also going to have other things where he's talking about related to that book because it's nonfiction. I would say most cases, like say you write cozy mysteries and like procedural mysteries, those could probably all be on one website and have like different pages for the different series and things like that. I would think if you're writing children's books and spicy romance, you're going to need a separate website. So it really depends, and how prolific are you going to be in each genre, right? Like if you have a pen name and you plan to only release 2 books in that pen name, maybe it makes sense. Yeah, for these 2, I'm just going to do something separate. It's totally different. It's a little experimental. Or is it like, I don't want to maintain everything for those 2. So trust your instinct and realize anything on the internet can be updated and changed and migrated over and redirected. So maybe you have the 2 websites and you think, I don't want to have to maintain all of these. Like I have nailbitersnovel.com is no longer owned by me. I don't know who owns it now, if anybody does. But I eventually was able to just migrate like everything over. It's all just one MK Williams now. So making changes is possible. So you can make a choice today and you want to change it later. I usually say simplest is best though. So if you're just starting out, just one website where everything lives, and then you can optimize it later.
Can you think of any other fiction authors specifically who have different pen names? I would think they would most likely keep it separate. You're doing different pin names for different audiences.
Yes. So one example, so Maddie Dalrymple from the Indie Author podcast, from the Indie Author, her website about the podcast, you can get to all of her nonfiction books, and you can get to MaddieDalrymple.com that has her fiction. So those, she keeps them separate there. So that's the first example that came to my mind.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
All right. And I think it's time to do a little break to give out some prizes.
Yay.
Prize break. Woohoo. Okay. So our first 3 winners, now this is not in the order that they asked the question, so their questions might come later, but our first 3 winners are Jill Nielsen, Amanda Murphy, and Madeline Pasto. Congratulations to you 3. Please reach out so you can claim your prizes.
Yay. Congratulations.
Yay.
All right, next question comes from Good Natured Gamer. It says, congratulations, well deserved. My question is, what do you now know that you wish you knew when you started writing?
Okay, when I started writing, I wish I knew where the comma went, because that was a big issue for me. I love stories. I love reading. My grammar wasn't poor enough that I was ever held back or ever failed on a paper. And so my grammar was just bad enough to not, like, in my opinion, be novel worthy, but good enough that, like, at no point in my education was a teacher like, you cannot pass any further without explaining to me the rule of where this comma should go. Because I would have been like, oh, it seemed like it should go there. So, Nail Biters came out. My editors did a crazy amount of work to it, and bless their hearts, they did as best as they could. There were still a lot of things that were missed because there was a lot of issues. And I'm glad that I went back and revised it later, like years later. But I would say, for me, it was like the basics, and I actually swallowed my pride and took a remedial English language course online. Like, I was the only native English speaker in that course, but I needed it. And there's still times where I'm like, where should this comma go? Both places. So that was one thing. And I think what I'm finding most recently, and I was resistant to it for a while, is outlining and plotting. So I definitely used to be much more of a discovery writer where, like, I'd have some ideas, I would really let this critical mass build, and then I would start to put together and be like, well, what's the story here? And that really worked with my process, because, I just need time to, like, think through things. Like, no, this is a better solution. But now that my time is limited, and there are days where, like, I'm like, I need to write today because I only have so much time each day to, like, if I want a book to come out, I have to write it. And having an outline has been so helpful because even if the words aren't great, I can edit them later, but, like, I need to get the words down. So I think outlining and really thinking about how to outline and how to pull from one scene to the next is, yeah.
Right. And then going back to the punctuation, using some of the technologies that we have available now. So like Microsoft Word, how it will read, it will just read out loud what you have. And then you also read out loud each of these books as you are narrating them too.
Correct.
So there's 2 instances in which there's a read aloud version of the book that's happening. That helps punctuation and the editing process.
Absolutely. All the thes that should have been that's are caught in that, which happened. Like, we all do it. So yeah, that was a big help.
So technology. What other technology do you now use that you wish you had when you started writing that you think would be helpful for a new author?
Definitely the read aloud function with Microsoft Word. That's been a game changer. Like, truly, because even when I read it out loud, my brain will complete the sentence correctly if I had a typo or, like, a commonly misspelled word. Microsoft won't do that. So that's been huge. I think that's the biggest one. I think, that's the biggest one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about what you know for self-publishing now that you didn't know when you first started? That's maybe too big of a question, but
that's why I have a whole channel.
By the self-publishing checklist.
Yeah. That's why I have a whole channel. I think one of the biggest things that I wish I knew better, that I understand now and I really advocate now, is being super, super specific, because I'll have people ask me all the time, like, well, I want to buy my ISBN because my barcode needs a price on it. I'm like, those are 2 completely separate things, and completely separate things that you can have. One is not reliant on the other. And, like, so yeah, like, being very specific in what item related to your book you're talking about, what platform it's on, what retailer it's on. Like, the platforms you upload to are not necessarily always a one-for-one with the retailer. So yeah, I think specificity is your friend in self-publishing, like being super organized, super lean about it, super tight about it. Cool.
Oops.
Let's do one more question, then we'll do another set of winners.
Okay,
Yay.
sounds great. Our next question comes from Elaine. Her question is, what's your number one tip for growing your Authortube channel? So let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay. So for Authortube channel, just one tip. Okay. So assuming you already have a channel, you already know that you should be posting consistently. It doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't even have to be every week, but like you need to be on a regular cadence. YouTube will get mad if you are all over the place. It won't know how to recommend you. Assuming you already know who your audience is, who you're speaking to, and what they want to see. That's good. I would say the biggest advice that I have is to make use of the tags and keywords functionality. When I first started, I would try to put like, oh, what's like a catchy, title of like, you'll never believe this. And like, then I'd never elaborate in the description. I never put in the tags and keywords what it was about. And honestly, nobody believed it because nobody found that video because who cares? Like what? I had 10 followers. Like, so I've since gone back and I've changed those titles and optimized them. And when I got really serious about growing my channel in 2020, I went back to my old videos that had like decent traffic, but I didn't understand why. And I made sure I maxed out as much of the 500 characters for keywords that I could. I went and I updated the descriptions to be very clear as like, this is what I'm talking about. And I updated the titles to maximize as much of the 100 characters as I could to be very specific as like, this is what this video is about. They're not always catchy. They're not always punny, but if I got to the point where I had 1 million plus subscribers, I could do kind of a catchy, clickbaity, like, you won't believe this title because people will watch it no matter what. They'll be like, oh my gosh, like, what? Whereas like this very niche group on Authortube, it's like, I need to say, this is what this is about. And this is why it's worth your time that you could be writing to watch this. Or like, this is the specific question you're answering. A lot of advice on YouTube, if you want to build a YouTube channel and grow, is to like follow trends of content and like topics. But like my intention with my channel was I want to answer questions for you guys so that like you can come and find them even a year later and be like, oh, there you go. So I had that intentionality, but yeah, like the keywords and the tags are your friends. If you're not using them, if you are somebody who's about to win a potential for a 30-minute consult with me, we can use it to talk about your Authortube channel. Like, let's go. Like, that was like the biggest change maker for me, was using the tags and keywords. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate how you're always value added. You want to make sure you're just answering questions that are going to be for the long haul. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of talking about gamifying it earlier, just with that question, or you're kind of like, or doing the opposite of gamifying it. Mm-hmm. If someone did want to gamify it, I hate even bringing that up, but there's ways you can look at what people are searching for on YouTube.
Yes, absolutely. So so this would be a good technology I wish I had used sooner for the Authortube channel, not for self-publishing, is I use TubeBuddy. I have a extension, so I don't actually have to log into my TubeBuddy account often. It just populates suggested keywords, suggested tags for me, different trends about like what people are watching when they're watching. So if I'm uploading like in the middle of the day on a Thursday, why is nobody watching? It's like, well, everybody on your channel actually watches your videos on Tuesday. So if you post it on Tuesdays, you would suddenly have this huge viewership right away, and then YouTube would recommend it. So TubeBuddy is really great. I'll have a link below for them, so you can check them out. They have a free version that you can try first, and then you can upgrade. But TubeBuddy is super, super helpful. If you're not using them, definitely check them out.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. All right, let's do
some winners. Okay, so our next 2 winners for any of these prizes that we can win, and I'm going to flash up really quickly what the prizes are again. So that's a Formatted Books ebook cover, amazing. There's going to be 2 options for a 30-minute consult with me, a collection of books from my channel members, as well as any of my books. So these 10 winners can pick from that, first come, first served. But the next 2 winners are Tia Malhotra and Omi102. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations.
And since we're halfway through our winners, I also think it's a good time for a bit of a sponsor break. So I want to give a big, big thank you to Stamps.com. I'm an affiliate with them. I'm always really excited to talk about them because surprisingly, one of my top 2 videos is about media mail. Like, I just put something out there about how I use media mail, USPS, to save at least 50% or more when I'm sending out books. It is bananas how much money I save. Like, if I had to play the priority rate for mailing my books, it would be prohibitive. Like I just wouldn't be able to do it and offer the same cost when somebody buys it on retail on Amazon.com versus my store. So media mail is huge, and you can actually sign up for an account with stamps.com. They have some really great offers going right now, and then you can apply that towards your media mail that you want to send out. So I feel like you guys should definitely check that out. They do a lot of really great stuff. And if you want to send something that's not media mail too, you can also do that. So media mail is a huge saver for authors, and using it with stamps.com just makes it super easy for you. So check that out. Okay. Thank you for sponsoring this video, another video.
Okay. Our next question comes from Omi, our latest winner there.
Congratulations, Omi.
Also, hey, buddy. What are your thoughts on using paid advertising for new writers? So paid advertising for new writers. Chocolate break.
I need some chocolate.
Let this one digest.
Okay, so I'm in two first.
I think we might have different opinions on this one too.
I think we might have the same opinion on this one. Okay, so I used to work in digital marketing, paid marketing. I was a media buyer for a company. I was spending somebody else's money, and I always felt very squeamish about it because of how quickly you can spend a lot of money. The thing with paid advertising, especially in digital marketing, is you can spend a lot of money really quickly, and you can learn really quickly that you don't know what you're doing. So I would say any paid advertising you do, whether it's digital marketing, whether it's traditional marketing, anytime you're putting money against promoting your book or your business, you need to have a very clear, measurable success rate. Like I am doing Facebook ads to try and get more subscribers to my newsletter. And if I get 100 subscribers and I pay $50, then I spent 50 cents per subscriber, and I'm okay with that because I need more subscribers. But then you want to be looking back to say, like, of these 100, how many just subscribed and unsubscribed to get the freebie? How many of them then became like lifelong fans? That's great. I think anytime there's paid advertising, you need to have one clear objective you for the user to like click here to subscribe, click here to get this free thing, click here to get a discount. And then you as the author or the person who's promoting something needs to have a really clear idea of what your success is and when you will pull the plug. Because it's always so tempting to think, oh, but I just thought of this more clever tagline. Let me just switch that out. Like have tests in mind before you start. Understand what those tests are indicating to you of like, hey, if this subject line wins, then I know my audience is more interested in getting a freebie chapter from me than they are in getting a bonus side story. Like they'd rather get more from the book they already know than kind of like the side story for a character. Like they want the deleted scene. They want an alternative ending versus a whole nother spinoff. And they should be really, really clear with that. And I always say that like when it comes to paid advertising, like make sure all of your organic marketing efforts are like buttoned up before that, so that way your website looks good if you're sending to your website, your email subscriber list is set up like you have an automation to be like, hey, thanks for opting in, like here's what you asked for. Make sure all of that is really buttoned up before you spend a dime. Is that what you're going to say?
No, that was a great answer.
Okay.
Absolutely. Would you recommend, if someone is wanting to try this out, is there a minimum amount that they should spend before they're kind of a minimum threshold that you would need? And then kind of would you put a maximum as well before pulling the plug?
I would say it definitely varies by platform. So let's say you're looking at direct Amazon ads, like to sell more books on Amazon. That's going to be a very different budget threshold based on your genre, based on how popular categories are, versus say you're on Facebook trying to get subscribers to your newsletter or people to like your author Facebook page, where then you're going to tell them about the book. A lot of these, so just kind of going with social media in general, usually now you have to do some kind of paid advertising or boosting on a post if it has an outside link for lots of reasons. So that's something to keep in mind. So I would say with budgets, I would set a higher minimum threshold than you think you need. So I would say $100 for your first week is probably on the very low side, like to try and get in front of people where you're competing against like Coca-Cola and Pepsi and like Amazon branding ads. And like you're competing against so many other things for somebody's eyeballs and attention. So to really refine your audience, you have to spend a bit more. And I've been out of the digital marketing game for a while, and like the budgets were crazy back then. But yes, set a high threshold and talk to somebody who's an expert. I don't just mean like your buddy who does Facebook ads for a lawn care service. Like they understand Facebook ads, but like talk to another author. Maybe they don't need to be in your exact genre, but like an author who's done well with Facebook ads, an author who's done well with Amazon ads, and really get a feel for them and say like, I know money's uncomfortable to talk about, but like I'm about to try this. Like what should I be expecting to part with for this learning opportunity to see if ads are going to work? Because I know last year I tried ads and I hired somebody to manage the ads. So I knew it was more, but I knew when I was fiddling with it, I was like, I'm just going to keep burning money if I'm fiddling with it. Like, let me hire an expert. What I learned after spending $700 was that all of my organic sales plummeted to zero the second Amazon got 1 cent of my money. And I don't put that on the person who was managing the ads, because they were like, okay, like, these have been running for a day or two, we have to optimize. And I was like, literally all of my sales just flatlined, like all of them, like they're gone, like they're gone. Like Amazon was like, haha, you want to pay us? Pay up. So it took a while to kind of reset from that. So that's what I learned for $700.
What's the potential opportunity? What's the ceiling you could reach? So if you have one book, you're advertising one book, you have an opportunity to sell one book. If you have a whole series of books, advertising the first in the series gives you that opportunity to sell multiple books.
Exactly, which is why I need to finish my series so I can do that.
We're not distracted with any new series, are we?
I'm totally distracted.
Okay, well, let's keep going here.
Great question, Omi.
So Dreaming Truth. Congratulations. I like that too. Is it required to start a publishing company in order to self-publish?
Okay, so for you to start self-publishing, you do not need to set up a publishing company. I did not officially register my LLC until I had three books out, and the fourth was on its way. So it took a while for me to gain critical mass. Obviously, you want to talk to I always say talk to an accountant, because a lawyer is going to say, yeah, you need an LLC. You talk to a barber, they're like, yeah, you need a haircut. A lawyer's like, yeah, you need an LLC. So, and I heard this from Dave Chesson when he was doing the Kindlepreneur podcast. So I heard this from Dave Chesson when he was doing the Kindlepreneur podcast, that setting up a publishing company or an LLC, it limits your liability. So that means that you, as the author, your business is protected in there. So let's say, and I think he used this example too at the time. I'll try and find that episode and link it below if I can. If not, just search for Dave Chesson for the original source. But he was saying, like, say you're in a car accident and the person's like, oh, okay, like this person, I have a bad neck. I'm going to go after them. Oh, and I found out they're this Kindle bestselling author. Well, guess what? Because my IP is now in the LLC, the only thing that person could touch is my personal assets, right? If they were trying to come after me. The same thing goes the other way. So like, let's say I have a book out and somebody's offended. They want to claim piracy, even though I feel like it's unfounded. They want to come after me. It's like, okay, well, they can only touch what's in the LLC. They cannot get any of my personal assets. So it sets up this nice wall. And that's how it was re-explained to us when we did talk with an accountant about this. So that was very like reassuring, like, okay, yes, understood. So I didn't sign up for the LLC until this was truly a business, in terms of the income that was coming in and seeing the potential for it to grow more, and realizing like I'm starting to like consult with people and give them advice. So I feel like I have more liability now. And I was like, I definitely want to set up the LLC. I will say though, just because you're not registering as an official business, if the aim is for this to become a business and produce business-like money one day, is you need to treat it like that. So if you're starting out, it's one book and you feel like, well, this is a fun hobby, but I also want it to somehow pay the bills one day. So there's definitely a disconnect in how you treat a business versus how you treat a hobby. Like a hobby, like I would kind of scrimp and save and be like, well, this is really special, for me to, spend all the money I saved for my hobby on this cover or ads or whatever. And it would be like, okay, like, cool, it's done. And like, I wouldn't be trying to then understand the ROI of that. I'd be like, well, it's my hobby. It's what I like to do. Versus a business, I'm like, okay, I have to be really strategic about how I'm reinvesting these royalties. What's the next thing for that? So start to think of it like a business, even if you're not yet registering it. And definitely consult with an accountant for when you feel like, I'm actually making regular money now, and it may not be a lot to some, but like it's a lot to me. My state in Florida, it was actually relatively inexpensive to register for an LLC. I could just go online and do it. Other states, I know it is more onerous. So have that conversation with an accountant, and then eventually a lawyer if it's necessary in your state to figure out what you need to do and when that threshold would be. But
it isn't a one-time fee. It's a it's an annual fee. Correct. So keep that into that kind of mental equation there.
I wonder if that's for every state though. You think it's a recurring fee in every state?
Probably.
This is why you should talk to an accountant. But yeah, in our state there was a one-time registration fee and then there was an annual renewal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. Do you mind mentioning what the annual fee is for Florida?
130 something.
It's in the low 100s. That's what I thought too.
Pop it up right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Go team.
Alrighty, let's keep going. So next up is Courtney. Okay, so if someone is telling you they are going to take out paragraphs in your book, now you can decide whether to take them out or not. But you already know you're probably not going to take their advice, and you're not going to take the paragraphs out. So what do you tell someone in that situation?
So I'd say in that situation, I would say, thank you so much. Let me go back and reevaluate how I might work that in. You don't have to tell them ultimately what you did. You don't have to say, hey, I'm not taking your advice because of X, Y, Z, or justify it. Unless that's something you want to go back and say, hey, I understand what you were saying, wanting to take this out, but like, I feel this is important to the character development or things that are coming later. You can totally leave it at, it's your book. Now, if you feel like, hey, this is my critique partner and we're going to keep working together, and if they keep saying I'm not taking their advice, they might feel miffed of like, well, why am I going to help you if you're not going to take my advice? But you might also want to ask yourself, if I don't like the advice they're giving, why do I want to keep working with them? So I would just, always stay professional, stay polite. And you can just always say, oh, that's an interesting note. Let me think on that. Because then you don't have to tell them the results of your deliberation, but you're still letting them know like, okay, like I see that. I acknowledge the effort and thought you put into this. I will think on it. And you may conclude your thinking within a second and say, no, you don't have to tell them that. So yeah.
Okay. Our next comment comes from Sitija. Congratulations on your 10K subs. I pray that you get million subs soon.
Oh my God, that'd be intense.
Here.
That would be exponential. I'd hit the viral button.
We'd hit the viral button. And you know what? Physical books too. In addition to ebooks.
Yeah.
Everything is out.
That's what I'm telling you. The CFO over here. Okay.
And also a follow-up question.
Okay.
Do you want each book to stand on its own? Or are you trying to build a body of work with connections between each book?
That's a great question. So I do have a few standalones. So Enemies of Peace is a standalone. Interview with a Van Lifer is a standalone. Escaping Avila Chase is a standalone, although it came out from a collection of short stories. And then I do have a few series going. The Infinite and Alpha Nina are part of the Feminina series. Nail Biters and Project Collusion are part of the Project Collusion. Nail Biters and Architects are part of the Project Collusion series. Don't even know my stuff. So I'm not trying to create an entire multiverse where like all my books exist and they all are in the same reality. I do like authors who do that. I know Stephen King will do that a lot with his works where like he'll reference a character from like another book or something that happened, which is really clever. And he's at the point where he can be self-referential. I'm not intentionally doing that. I do feel like for my books that are in a series, that the first book in the series could stand alone. And that's mainly because I wrote them as standalones. And then I finished the book and I thought of the sequel. So I do feel that those could stand on their own. I've not been very intentional with that. And I don't know if that's a bad sign. But if that's something you want to be intentional with, go for it. Own it. Because your fans and your super fans are going to see that. And they're going to be like, that's so cool. Like, wait, that was from here. Like, I think that's really cool. And authors can do that. So more power to you if you have that planning and foresight. Go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say that too about the super fans. I feel like it's easier to build a super fan when you're connecting these books together. Well, just gives them something to latch onto there. Okay, so Jessica, we're going to get into formatting questions. So how do you format a Google document for print books?
I would say that you don't. That's my simplest thing. So Google Docs are really great for drafting, for collaborating with editors and critique partners. And you could format it for your ebook as far as, your chapter headings, your title, table of contents. All of your ebooks have to have an interactive table of contents where it says chapter 1, clicks you to chapter 1. Chapter 10, it jumps you down chapter 10. And then you can download it from Google Docs to a .doc or a .docx. So when I was first self-publishing, everything had to be in .doc 1997 to 2003 format. So as of 2023, they're finally letting us upload a .docx. That's 2 decades of .docx being around. That finally, like self-publishing platforms, like yeah, you can upload a .docx now. So you can download either of those formats from Google Docs. So you could format your ebook that way. I would say for print, you absolutely can't, because you have to set up gutters and margins and bleed and left, right, shift. Like there's so much that goes onto it. So I would say if you're looking to save money on formatting, yes, you can format the ebook that way, but not for print. There are a few platforms that let you use their like builders to like convert your ebook into print. You could do that. You could invest in the software. You could try and do it for free. I have a Scribus tutorial. Like I don't even use Scribus anymore because I just work with formatted books. Because I just realized it was not worth my time and my sanity and wanting to throw my computer out the window trying to format my print book. I now just work with formatted books. And I'm not just saying that because they are the sponsor of this video. They are the sponsor of this video and they do great work. I'm saying that because they do great work and they truly take the stress out of it, and they offer self-publishing prices. So it isn't going to be thousands and thousands of dollars. It's going to be a couple $100, and you're going to have your ebook, your print book formatted, and even the cover done. It's a nice one-stop shop, and they're a really great team. So I would say there's options where if you really, really want to just DIY it, not spending a single dollar, you can spend a lot of time and get a lot of gray hairs, and you can still do that. But yeah, I would say save yourself some stress and go with formatted books.
Yeah, you started this on your own journey. You're formatting yourself, and you transitioned just because it was so cumbersome, challenging. And formatting books they do an amazing job.
Absolutely. And I would say like those first few years, like every single penny, like I was making pennies on royalties because my book was 99 cents as an ebook. And so you only make 34 cents on each sale. Like I was making pennies, and I was like, okay, like I have to just white knuckle this until I get more critical mass. I have a bit more critical mass, but like I'd like more. So yeah, making that investment with formatted books for each book. Sometimes it's like, okay, like I have to make this bag, but it's definitely very, very helpful for the sanity and peace of mind that I have. So yeah.
Yeah, time's a bit of always a challenge on that.
It is. Too. Well, since we just mentioned formatted books and they're giving away one of the prizes, let's do another prize break.
Woohoo!
All right.
Prizes.
All right. Our next two prizes go to Elaine Canyon and Joel Crumbly.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Elaine and Joel. You are getting prizes.
So we have 3 more winners to go.
We do. We have 3 more winners to go. This is very exciting.
All right. Let's keep the questions flowing. Next question is from Patricia. So she would like you to give your thoughts on Goodreads giveaways. I don't know Goodreads giveaways, so.
It's a good chance for me to explain it. So Goodreads is the solution that everybody who's an avid reader needs. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they're owned by Amazon, you shouldn't use them, and there's Goodreads alternatives. They're known as Goodreads alternatives because Goodreads is standards. Like, and for me, like, I'm not going to migrate my whole hundreds and hundreds of book TBR and all my other things over. Hopefully, if they have an easy button, I would do it. But anyway, so Goodreads is where readers go to add books to their TBR. So people who are on a book club can easily recommend books to each other. You can like a book, you can rate a book, you can leave a review for a book, and therefore then you can like and comment on it. So it's a social platform for liking and reviewing books and pretty much feeding your reading addiction. It's very dangerous to leave me alone with my Goodreads app open. My TBR is very, very long.
Yeah, how many books is on your to be read TBR?
There's at least 4 digits. I have a problem. Anywho,
so if you take a 2-year break from the channel and writing books
and life, sure. I just don't talk to you, our daughter, for the whole time. My eyes are just bleeding. Yeah. Anyway, so Goodreads is how readers can find books, and obviously authors are on there with their own profiles and list of books. So a Goodreads giveaway is kind of what it sounds like, is saying, hey, enter this contest by adding this book to your TBR, to your want to read list. And when you do so, you are entering the giveaway. Usually there's going to be a print copy that's mailed to you. So the idea behind it is that you're going to people who are like, yeah, that book sounds interesting, and I like free things. I like books. That cover looks pretty. You know, I really want it. They're going to say, yeah, want to read, enter me to win, because it literally costs them nothing to enter to win. They're like, yeah, I can add this to my TBR, and if you send me the book, I'll be happy. So obviously the benefit for the author who's parting with a copy of their book is that a bunch of people have just added it to their TBR.
Just a single book you give away?
Yes, usually that's the case. Okay. And so all those people are now have it on their TBR. But the thing is that everybody they're connected to sees, hey, Jason just added so-and-so's book to want to read. And they might be like, oh, that sounds interesting, want to read. And so it kind of adds this nice critical mass. And then hopefully, because it's on your want to read and it's not a mile long, you actually read it, you leave a review, you rate it, all those things. For the author to pay to be able to do a Goodreads giveaway, it's usually at least $100 or more. I think the prices recently went up, but $100 is actually a relatively inexpensive amount, but you really have to promote it now because there are so many people doing giveaways. It's something I really want to try to do, but in the past couple years, I had books that were launching that were nonfiction. I didn't feel like that was the right book to do a giveaway for. I had a sequel. And so I was like, well, I would want to give away the first book, but I'm really trying to promote the second book. So that didn't seem right. And it does seem to work best when a book is on pre-order. And then you're sending it out like, hey, and then when the book comes out, you get the book. I could try and go back and do that. So ultimately, I'm very interested in trying them out. I'm very interested in learning more about it. And I think I would need to learn more of the best practices of how to say, now that you have a giveaway, how do you optimize it? But it seems like it's still a relatively inexpensive way to do a giveaway. Whereas I know like BookBub is like pricey. So now that I've said that it's going to increase in price, I'm so sorry to the world. But yes, I'm very interested in it. And if I decide to invest in that as an opportunity, I will definitely do a video and let you guys know.
Cool. Yeah. That sounds good. Do you know how often they do the giveaways? Probably
all the time.
All the time. Okay.
All the time.
All the time. All right, let's keep going. Next question is from Jill. We're going to do some comparisons here. How would you rate Barnes & Noble Press versus IngramSpark versus Amazon?
I guess...
Where's my chocolate? I have more chocolate.
So I would say, what criteria am I using to rate them against each other? If you're looking for width of how far out you can get your book to people, IngramSpark can get your book to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and a zillion other retailers. Like, that's super easy to use, right? Like, I have one login, I have one tax amount to manage. They don't send you tax form. You know, it's ease of use with IngramSpark, right? Because you just have one account that gets your book everywhere. But you're not working directly with the retailer. So if there's an issue on your retailer page, you kind of get the runaround all the time between IngramSpark and the retailer. Amazon, I think, is fairly easy to use. It's really straightforward. I feel like every time when I do the tutorial each year for it, I'm just like, and then you click here and you feel like I do feel like it's very intuitive. I've also done a lot of times, so I try to give that a grain of salt. I'm glad that Barnes & Noble is allowing for a direct option. I think it really depends on what your goals are. Just because you are self-published through Barnes & Noble Press direct with them does not mean that you're actually going to be accepted to be in their stores. I don't think any more likely than if you were through IngramSpark or another distributor who can also get your book to barnesandnoble.com. Obviously, if you're going to go pitch your local Barnes & Noble store to sell it on the shelf saying, I'm also on barnesandnoble.com, so like, why couldn't you sell me in the store? That's probably a good start. Don't mention Amazon when you go into a Barnes & Noble store. Don't do it. As far as royalties, obviously when you're working with a distributor like IngramSpark, compared to selling direct through Amazon KDP to sell on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble Press to sell on BarnesandNoble.com, you make better royalties when you sell direct. With IngramSpark, you have an extra fee on top that comes out of it. So it really depends on what you're trying to assess as far as like who's better, who's not. Like, it depends on your goals, your tolerance for multiple logins. Like, if this is something you're like, no, I'm going to go all in, everywhere I can go direct, I'm going direct, like, more power to you. I've worked with people who are like, nope. Just give me one login, I'm done. So everybody's different, everybody has different goals, so it's kind of hard to say, but they all have their pros, they all have their cons. Yeah, no platform is perfect. I'll say that.
See, Joel asked a question, but unfortunately he's a finance guy, so I'm like, what payable on demand service? I'm like, oh, what
POD.
print on demand POD service would you most suggest for a new picture book? So print on demand service for a new picture book.
So I would say, in this case, you're probably going to be better served by Lulu than IngramSpark. So Lulu also distributes to the Ingram network. So you get pretty much the same distribution, but Lulu has more options in terms of your binding and your paper types. Now, sometimes if you pick a certain binding or paper type, it may exclude you from their distribution, so you need to look really carefully. But I know Keith Wheeler over at Keith Wheeler Books, he does a lot of children's books, whether they're activity books and things like that, and he mainly uses Lulu because of their advanced options. So now, more often than not, when I'm talking to an author who's looking for print on demand for picture books, I'm recommending they go to Lulu. If you are looking at any point at a board book, print on demand isn't possible. So this has to be like paper, not cardstock, not board, but actual paper for the interior. I'm more often recommending Lulu now for that. So yeah.
Awesome. Great answer. Great question.
I try.
All right, we have one more question, and then we'll get to our final 2 winners after that.
Final 3 winners.
Final 3 winners after that.
Yeah, this is exciting.
All right. So Madeline says, why did you choose this content, and why do you do it?
Oh, man.
I love that question.
That's a deep one. Okay, so why did I choose this content? So I feel like the content kind of chose me. So, I wrote Nail Biters, which was apocalyptic science fiction, self-published it, and I was doing, all the beginner things. I had no audience. So of course I'm on Facebook, I'm on my Instagram, and I'm like, hey, my book's coming out in 2 days. My book's coming out in an hour. My book's coming out, like, I was letting everybody know I had a book out. Every time I got a review, I was posting about it. Like, I was out there. I was really making sure people knew about it. And because of that, people kept coming to me and saying, hey, my cousin's brother or sister wants to write a book. What advice do you have? And I was like, have them send me an email, and I'm happy to help out. And I felt like when I was starting out, I didn't have a network. I didn't have a support. Like, Jason was my support system, but like, he didn't know anything about self-publishing. Like, I wish I had another.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, no. I wished I had a more help and support from somebody who'd been there. And so I wanted to do that for other people, but I very quickly realized that, like, I needed a system because I had a finite amount of writing and business time. And so I was like, how can I help people? I was like, oh, I should just like pre-write out an email. But then every time they'd have a more unique question. So I'd want to add nuance. I'd want it to not be so transactional. And so I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm just going to record the answer. So it feels more personal, but then I only have to record it once and it's out there. And so that was the initial drive for me to create the YouTube content that I have. And I continue to do it because the questions haven't stopped coming in. And there are some things that I realize I maybe didn't explain very well in the original videos, or maybe people just don't watch the videos. So I have to make it again.
Watch the videos.
Before you ask a question, watch the video. But sometimes if somebody's asking a question, I'm like, I answer in the video. I'm like, well, maybe I wasn't very clear. So I continue to make videos because the questions haven't stopped coming in. The platforms are updating. And I do genuinely want to be there for authors to help them avoid pitfalls and mistakes and to make it easier for them because it's so hard. And there's a lot of technical detail with it. And like, self-publishing is not for the faint of heart at all. So I just want to be here to support you all on your journey. So that's why I do it.
Mm-hmm. And when you have your one-on-one consultations, your energy is off the charts. You get lit up because you get the excitement from someone else. So there's the whole community element, and that keeps you going too.
Absolutely. And like, people do cool things. Like, my consult, I'm just like, this is cool. Like, it's cool I get to talk to you about this book. Like, I get energized and excited. So
that keeps that fuel burning.
It sure does. And the monthly calls with the members, like, it is so nice to see that, like, they're helping each other now too. Like, part of me is like, oh no, I should be the one to jump in and help. I'm like, no, this is what the community is for. Like, you help each other. So it makes me feel really good to facilitate that and to have
kids are all growing up.
Though they're not my kids, like that. Like, some people come in and like they just have so much more knowledge of like niche things, and I'm like, I never like I haven't even gone down that path yet. And so like I'm so glad that they're in the group to be able to talk about those things. So super helpful.
How do you join the membership?
There's a super easy button right down here. You can click join, and you can we do regular like posts throughout the month on the community tab, just like checking in with each other, and then we do a monthly live call, so you can ask any questions. Usually I prioritize it with if a member sends me an email, I'm going to try to get back to them, if not same day, but like within like a couple hours, whereas other people who aren't members, I'll see you when I have free time again. So I do still try to get back to people, but usually like members I always prioritize. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that wraps up the questions.
That does wrap up the questions. So that means we have more prizes to give away. These are the final prizes. So again, the prizes to pick from are formatted books, professionally designed ebook cover for your book, one of two potential 30-minute consultations with me to kind of go over whatever questions you have for your business. A collection of books from members on my channel and any of my books. So I'll kind of flash all those up here so you can look at it quickly. And the final three winners are Dreaming Truth author, Kimberly Sheed, and Courtney Fraser. Congratulations, everybody. So if you heard your name called and you're a winner, congratulations. I'm super, super excited. Be sure to reach out to me before April 30th, 2023, so we can make sure you get your prize. If there's any unclaimed prizes, I'll be reaching out to the next people who would have been on the list so that they can get the prize instead, okay? Because I want everybody to feel like they're getting something. And everybody does get something, because between now and the end of this month, April 30th, 2023, everybody gets 10% off everything on my PayHip store. Everything. 10%. 10% off. So I'm really excited. I am so grateful that the channel has turned into something. Like, I really was just putting things out into the void, hoping to help people, thinking I would just have to link all the time. Like, people question, like, here you go. And it's so amazing that people have found the channel, that they've wanted to support me, that they wanted to support each other. So I'm so grateful. And I can't wait to see you guys for the next big milestone.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to all the subscribers. And
yeah, it's just
looking
fun.
forward to the next chapters that everyone is turning.
I know, it's so fun.
Chapters, books. See what I did there? Hey.
All right, thanks, guys. And if you aren't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye-bye.